Hello and welcome to yet another live session here at Tutorac. In this YouTube live video, we are going to talk about another programming language that is actually creating a very strong impact in the tech space in these days. And as you might have already seen with the title of this video, we are going to talk about JavaScript. JavaScript is probably one of my favorite programming languages to program in. And I feel very honored to actually get this opportunity to talk about it on this live platform today. JavaScript happens to be a very relatively newer programming language compared to its alternative major programming languages like Java and C++, yet it has taken the world or taken the tech world by storm. Today, any place where you go, you might see JavaScript in one form or the other. You might have seen very beautiful looking websites, whether you go to Netflix website or you go to Google's basic search engine or any website you actually open. Anytime you actually deal with a website, that website will deal with JavaScript in one way or the other. And I think it's very foolish of me to explain you how much dependent we are today on web-based applications. Today, no matter what we want to do, whether we want to order groceries to our phone or to actually me coming down to YouTube and holding a session like this, in all of these processes and all of these technologies, JavaScript is playing its very integral role in making this possible right now. So this is a very strong impact that JavaScript might be having in today's tech world. Not apart from, or not just this, apart from these, JavaScript can also do a lot of things. To make you actually count a very few of them, JavaScript can help you make full stack web applications. That means not only front end, you can also create backend based applications with the help of JavaScript. And not just that, you can also extend your JavaScript's language or your information in JavaScript programming language to deal or to delve into the world of software engineering in terms of mobile application development. So as you can see, or based on what I'm saying, JavaScript can allow you to touch multiple facets of software engineering. So not only you can just do full stack web development, you can also do mobile application development. And not just that, it will also make you capable of desktop application development. It can also make you capable of writing machine learning code. It can also make you capable of designing and drawing graphs out of JavaScript programming language. So there are so many things, so many amazing things that you can do with the help of JavaScript as a programming language. JavaScript is also very, fairly unique. And at the same time, a lot of people actually confuse JavaScript with its very, similar sounding name called Java, which is a different programming language. As my tenure as a software engineer and as a mentor to multiple students, I have often got this query, or I have seen people presuming a hell lot that Java and JavaScript might be very similar in nature because JavaScript does contain Java in its name, right? But I think you're gonna have a laugh after what I'm gonna say is that JavaScript and Java are similar just like carpet and car are. So that's the kind of similarity that we can have between Java and JavaScript, just like carpet and car. And now I think it's needless to say that carpet and car are nothing alike. Just like that, Java and JavaScript have too many differences to exist. So it's kind of unfair for us to say that they are kind of related with each other. JavaScript, on the other hand, has a totally different approach when it comes to programming. It is a very event-based programming language, and it deals with programming in an asynchronous manner. Very usually, or in most cases, when we try to execute code inside any programming language, let's say you are just starting out and you're writing your first, second, or third code, we mostly try to imagine our code running line by line, right? First line 1 will run, then line 2 will run, and then line 3 will run, and so on and on. But in JavaScript, the order might change because JavaScript can also execute asynchronously in real time. So this nature of JavaScript actually makes it extremely unique. To give you a little bit context on JavaScript, if it is absolutely new to you, this language was brought into existence for actually creating web pages. As you know that, or like I've told right now, that it is mostly, or it was mostly developed for creating web pages, because of which JavaScript happened to be the first programming language that was natively supported by any web browser. Even today, if you open any web browser of your choice, for example, Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Safari, or whatsoever, you might be actually able to write your JavaScript code in real time in the browser and see your browser executing it. This is not true for any other programming language. You will need to download a compiler or a software that can help you or can help your computer translate this high-level code into machine code. by default. So this is what you'll have to do for other languages. But in case of JavaScript, it is natively supported in every single browser. And that was its native reason to be developed. But over the course of time, people started to become really good at JavaScript. And to see the flexibility of JavaScript coming into picture, people started to create ideas of how we can actually make use of this programming language outside just developing web pages. After which, a software called Node.js was developed. Node.js is a very interesting software which is actually creating the possibility of running your JavaScript code outside a browser as well, which is how it has become possible to create JavaScript as such big potentially important language in today's technical world. So these are a few supporting factors in terms of JavaScript as a programming language. Let's go ahead and see some very basic snippets of JavaScript code so that we can write it down. We will try to compare the snippets of JavaScript code with equivalent Java code or C++ code. So coming back to my screen now, if I open my screen and if I open Visual Studio Code, for your reference, I've already created a file called as tutorac.js. So JavaScript related files, they contain the extension as .js. Okay, wonderful. So in this particular file, let's just write one very basic simple code. So suppose if I was writing code in Java, so I'd create a parallel Java file as well. Let's say tutorac.java. Okay. Oops, I created a folder by mistake. Let me create a file, tutorac.java. Okay. So now I have two files, a Java file and a JS file. Okay. So on the right, there is a Java file. Now let's say I just want to print 5 numbers or first 5 numbers or numbers of an array. Okay. So let's say I'll write in Java, I'll write public class tutorac. And then I will write a main function like this. And then over here, I will write int arr is equals to an array like this. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and now that I have to print this array, I'll have to store the figures of this array into a string and then print this string, right? So to make this simpler, I will make use of string builder sb equals new string builder. And after the string builder is created, I will write for int I colon arr. I will write sb.append I. Okay, and lastly, I will write sb.append an empty bracket. Oh, 1 second. Be like this, empty bracket. Okay, so similarly, it should start over here with an empty bracket as well, sb.append empty bracket like this. All right, wonderful. So this is how we have written very basic Java related code for printing all the elements of an array. Okay, and lastly, we will print it. So I will write system.out.println. No, I think I'm writing it at a wrong place. I should be writing it here. The system.out.println, I will write sp. That's it. Okay, let's try to run this code. Yeah, so if we try to run this code, you will see an output like this. 1, 2, I think you should be seeing it like this, .append, comma as well. Yep. So you should be seeing it like this. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and like this. Something like this is what you will be seeing. All right, wonderful. So if we have to write the similar code in terms of JavaScript, well, it's fairly easy. Okay, so what we will do is, in case of JavaScript, we don't necessarily need the main function. So because it's very flexible in nature, you will see that after we have written the code, it's going to look very similar to Java, but at the same time not look very similar to Java and behave in the same way in a much easier and less code. Okay, so let's try to write the same thing down. So I will write let, and then I will write the name of my array as arr, and I will pass my elements like this. You can see that the variable declaration has been done with the help of the let keyword. It could have also been done with the help of a const keyword. Okay, so there are different ways of defining a variable inside a programming language like JavaScript. In case of older programming languages like C++ and Java, you have to necessarily write the type of the variable as well. But in case of JavaScript, it is not mandatory. If you look into the newer versions of Java, you will find that this kind of property is also starting to come towards Java. But if we talk about the most modernly supported versions of Java across different enterprises, we still prefer to have the type locking. In case of JavaScript, that is not provided, but it can be extended with a language like TypeScript. Okay, so we have written const arr as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's try to print it. All I'll have to do is console.log and arr. That's it. Just 2 lines and our code is ready. Let's try to run this. And you can see that it runs with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 easily. Right? If I try to run this one, you can see that this is the output of my Java program and this is the output of my JS program. So you can see that only 2 lines of code versus code which is of 13 lines minimum. Right? So you can see the difference of how short the code can become when we start to program in JavaScript like programming language. So as you can see right now that JavaScript actually does make our life easy. JavaScript is actually trying to make a lot of things possible for us in today's world, especially in the area of front-end development. Front-end development is actually JavaScript's territory. Okay, front-end development is actually JavaScript's territory. For example, if you go to South Pole, you'll only find penguins, right? So penguins, we can say that South Pole is the territory of penguins. So a penguin has completely adapted to live in the South Pole. Just like that, JavaScript is completely present in the front-end territory, or we can say front-end is the territory of JavaScript. There is no front-end technology which is done on web that does not use JavaScript. Every single modern technology that we use today for front-end development is going to make use of JavaScript directly or indirectly. Naming few of the biggest front-end technologies that would become React and Angular, they both make sure that they use the JavaScript programming language to be developed. And we all understand that the amount of market capture both of these two frameworks have collectively is extremely high when it comes to web applications. You open websites like Netflix, open Amazon Prime, open our own website, open YouTube. All of these major, extremely usable websites are made on front-end frameworks like React and Angular or something derived from them, and all of them collectively use JavaScript at its core. It is a very famous saying that JavaScript is like a mosquito that we have in real life. Why? Because no matter what part of this world you go, you will always find mosquitoes here and there, right? Just like that, no matter what tech space you're working for, you'll always find JavaScript here and there. No matter how much you try to escape from it, it is gonna come and catch you back. So that's how JavaScript's nature is, which is why learning the skill in today's world is gonna create a very strong impact when it comes to your career. So in case if you are somebody who is trying to earn your career out with the help of a programming language, JavaScript can provide you end-to-end functionalities of exactly what you would need, especially in the world of web development. If I talk about my own personal experience as a software engineer, when I was younger and when I was trying to learn software engineering initially, I started out my journey by learning front-end development. And in this front-end development journey, I did encounter a lot of learnings with help of JavaScript. And then I moved towards backend development in JavaScript. And today, both of these two skills have extremely helped me to cement and strengthen my knowledge of software engineering in general and has gotten me to the place where I am today. So these are some very important reasons why learning JavaScript in today's world can be extremely important and helpful for you and your career. I see a comment has popped up in the chat box. Let me go ahead and see it. So somebody has mentioned, so why should I choose JavaScript? Okay, so in very important question and definitely a question that deserves an answer of its own. So JavaScript is a language that you should be learning today because it is going to, or it is one of those languages that can help you do a lot of things. So you might have interest in multiple software engineering domains like maybe front-end development, back-end development, mobile application development. JavaScript is one of those programming languages which is extremely versatile and flexible that can help you achieve all of these things. So if you are somebody who knows JavaScript, of course, you can switch technologies as and when required by your organization to help you or to let them use you as a resource. So that is one very strong advantage. Secondly, it is a very required skill in today's world, especially around the world of front-end development. Today, no matter what application you're using, whether it's on mobile or it's on website, it is going to make use of JavaScript for sure. So these are some very important reasons why you should be learning JavaScript. To repeat it or to summarize it, one, because it's extremely flexible and versatile, and secondly, it is extremely in the industry demand. So these are two very important reasons why you learn. These are two very important reasons why if you learn JavaScript, you can actually be a better software engineer and might be open for better roles in the software engineering world. All right. So I hope this particular answer helps you understand in relation with your question. Okay, let's talk a little bit more about JavaScript. And this time we will come back to my screen and start writing code a little bit more. Okay, so this time I want to show you some very interesting behavior in JavaScript. Just a few moments ago, I was telling you about a system or a situation where you might be writing a few lines of code and you might be expecting all the code to be executed line by line. And sometimes in JavaScript that is not going to happen. Let's go ahead and see that actually in action. So, okay, what I will be doing is I will be writing a function for people who are new to this programming language. To create a function in JavaScript, you can just use a keyword called as function. That's it. There is another type of function called as arrow functions. If you're familiar with lambdas in Java, you might find that lambda in Java very similar to arrow functions in JavaScript. Okay, so I've created a function called test. And over here, what I will do is I will write set timeout. I will write set timeout. Okay, and over here I will create one more function. Let's say function timeout function. Okay, so I've created one more function called as timeout function. Let's say that this timeout function is going to perform a certain type of behavior. So what this is going to do is it is going to take two numbers, A as let's say 10 and then B as let's say 20, and then it is going to sum it. So I will write, let's say return or not return console.log sum is A plus B. Okay, so this is what I've written, sum is A plus B. Now here in set timeout, which is a function, I'm going to pass something very interesting. So I will write timeout function over here, and then I will write something called as 5000. What is the meaning of this? So here, for people who are new to JavaScript, I just want you a little bit of attention. So set timeout is actually a function that is going to take two things as an argument. First is actually a function itself that you want to execute, and second is a number. What set timeout does is that it is going to execute a certain piece of code after some time. After some time. Listen, or like I want you to focus on the fact that I'm saying after some time. So what it is going to do is that set timeout is going to ask you for a snippet of code, and it will run that snippet of code after some time. This some time is defined by us, and this snippet of code is also defined by us. So you can imagine that what this is going to do is it is going to call this function after this much time. Okay, so this time is mentioned in milliseconds, therefore it means 5 seconds. Okay, all right. Now what I will do is I will write console.log set timeout over. Okay, and before this I will write console.log set timeout starts. Okay, console.log is like a print statement in JavaScript, but also know that it is different from a regular print statement in other programming languages. Okay, let's try to run it. I'll have to call the test function, so I'll just call it like this. I'll just run the code. You can see that it says set timeout starts, and then it says set timeout over, and then it says sum is 30. If you actually notice something very interesting, let's wait for 5 seconds after, let me just close it. Yeah, let's wait for 5 seconds exactly after set timeout starts is printing, and then let's go to then let's see what is happening after that. So if I run it again, you'll see set timeout starts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1 second. I think I might have made a small mistake. Let me just try to run it again. So node tutorac.js. You can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. In 5th second, we can see that it says sum is 30. So it exactly waited for 5 seconds to print sum is 30. But don't you see something weird happening over here? You might have expected that first set timeout starts will be printing, which is exactly what is happening. And then after 5 seconds, this line would be printed, which is line number 4, which is going to say sum is 30. And then you would expect set timeout over to be printed. But did that exactly happen? No, it did not. What happened over here is Firstly, set timeout starts got printed, then set timeout over got printed, and then your sum was printed, which is exactly the kind of behavior that I did talk about a few minutes ago. So I told you that in JavaScript, it is not absolutely mandatory for things to execute in a way or in an order that you would expect because of its asynchronous nature. So that is exactly what happened over here. So this is called as asynchronous behavior of JavaScript. So this behavior of JavaScript is actually one of the reasons why newer engineers or people who are learning the language for the very first time might find JavaScript a little bit unpredictable in nature. So this can frustrate and irritate these engineers. But as soon as you start to identify what advantages this kind of behavior can actually possess, you will start to really like the language and start making your projects in this particular language. This particular language has its extremely advanced amount of support when it comes to the community, and also very well supported when it comes to cloud services like AWS and Google Cloud Platform and Microsoft Azure as well. So the support amount of, or the amount of support you have is actually immense, which is going to help you a lot in your development journey with this certain programming language. I see there's one more comment. Let's go ahead and check it out. I see somebody has written, what is the difference between Java and JavaScript? Well, this is a question that I get so often, and every single time I get this question, it's an absolute pleasure to answer this question. So a lot of people do understand that they are similar because JavaScript contains Java. But like I've also mentioned in the past, JavaScript and Java, or Java and JavaScript, are similar as long or as much as car and carpet are similar. If you are Indian, or if you understand Hindi as a speaking language, Java and JavaScript are like gulab and gulab jamun. So that's the amount of difference we actually have between these two programming languages. There are too many differences. Only to note down a few. Java is an extremely strong object-oriented programming language, and it is extremely verbose, strict, and it's a type locking type of programming language. Whereas JavaScript is flexible, it is not extremely object-oriented. More so over, it focuses on functional programming. And thirdly, it is extremely flexible and it's very lightweight also, on the other hand. Java is very strong, and because of that, it's also a heavy programming language. On the other hand, JS is lightweight. With the help of Java, you can't actually, or you can't use Java on your web browsers, but you can use JS on your web browsers. Java cannot be used to create front-end applications unless you use JSP. But even if you do use JSP, you still write a lot of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. But on the other hand, JavaScript can be used to create front-end applications as well as back-end applications. Java is a faster programming language than JavaScript. So that is one point you need to note. Another point that I would like to add to JavaScript in general is its sister programming language called as TypeScript. This programming language might not be known to many people, but at the same time, whenever we talk about JavaScript, we kind of also talk about TypeScript. For people who are extremely new to this word TypeScript, TypeScript is basically a superset of JavaScript. That means every single piece of code you write in JavaScript is valid in TypeScript, but vice versa is not true. Because JavaScripts, or all the strict coding structures of JavaScript, which are not present, are actually introduced in TypeScript, which makes it a more reliable programming language. So in order to compensate for the disadvantages that JavaScript might possess, people have started to migrate towards TypeScript, and it makes use of all the concepts you know in JavaScript into TypeScript. So in case if you feel like that JavaScript is actually a disadvantageous situation providing programming language to you, you can always move to TypeScript and get advantages of all the major important programming languages like Java inside your own system with its flexibility. So that was some amount of content I wanted to talk to you about JavaScript and TypeScript as well. So I hope the question that was asked, that was about the difference between Java and JavaScript, I hope that stands answered. All right, so now that I've spoken a lot about JavaScript as a programming language, I would like to talk to you about some important technologies that are used in today's world when it comes to JavaScript as a development friendly programming language. So when we talk about front-end development, we see technologies like reactjs, Angular, or AngularJS, however you would like to call it, as two very major players which are using JavaScript or TypeScript in order to be programmed to create amazing front-end applications. So these are two important in the front-end world. In the back-end world, we have the king backend, which is called as nodejs, with the help of using something called as Express. So this particular framework is used very intensively in the backend engineering space. Then let's come to mobile application development. When it comes to mobile application development, in the world of mobile application development, JavaScript actually does have a very strong framework which is used very intensively, and it is called as React Native. You might be surprised that this React Native is actually the programming language which is actually getting used to create a very famous application that we all love to use, and that is our very friendly Instagram. So Instagram is one of those mobile applications that is used or that is created by using JavaScript as a programming language. And if not JavaScript, it has to be TypeScript. So whenever we talk about JavaScript, we have to mention about the strong flexibility and interchangeability of this programming language and the amount of strength and the hold it has on the current technical space. These are some very important points that I did want to mention about JavaScript as a programming language, and I hope that this knowledge is going to help you out in understanding JavaScript and can actually help you take a step into the direction of JavaScript to choose inside your next career step. Let me see if we have any more questions as of now. As of now, there are no questions, but there is a one very small thing that I would like to tell you about a little bit more about JavaScript, and that is that whenever we talk about JavaScript, people always have their own methods or their own ways of programming into any programming language. JavaScript is so flexible that it actually does support different programming techniques as well. So you might see a lot of data structures that are engulfed or inculcated inside one data structure only. For example, if we talk about in relation with Java or C++, we have separate modules in Java and C++ for something called a stack and queue and dequeues and stuff like that, right? So array is a different thing, stack is a different thing, queues are a different thing, dequeues are a different thing, and so on and on and on. Whereas in JavaScript, they can all be present inside the same structure called as an array or a list. So these kind of things that are some small things that we need to take care of. JavaScript has extremely simple syntax also, so it can really help us to know a lot of things. And JavaScript in general as its syntactical sugar can really help us code extremely efficiently by writing least amount of code possible. So that's pretty much it from my end, and let's go ahead to see if there are any more questions. So right now I see one more question that is present on the screen, which is how do I pursue a career in React? Okay, to pursue a career in React, you might need to understand what React is very firstly. React is actually a front-end application development library. Okay, it is a library which is created by the company Meta. So to do React, you need to understand fundamentals of front-end development first. Front-end development always deals with topics like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So you need to be very well versed with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So there is a lot of content available on the internet and also on our own platform at Tutorac. So you can choose wisely what works best for you to learn these technologies first. After you are done studying HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to an extent, you can start to dive deep into React. React will require you to know these things very firstly, and then slowly and slowly you will have to study what React's principles are and how React functions. And after that, once you have a clear understanding of how React is and how it works, you can start by creating a few projects by your own. So you can have a few projects which might be a part of your curriculum from the place where you're studying this technology, but I would also encourage you to start creating a few projects on your own for your own understanding. Once you have done all of these things, you can start mentioning all of these things inside your resume, and then you can start looking out for jobs which are focused on React and front-end development skills in general. One quick point, if you know React, you can learn Angular and vice versa, because conceptually they are exactly the same. It's just a different way of executing the same concept. All right, let's see if I think we have one more question. If I know just Java, can I get a job in IT easily? Well, that's a kind of a, it's a very interesting question is what I would like to say. So whenever we say that if Java is the only language that can help us get a job, technically it is gonna be a strong point and it's gonna give you a slight amount of head start, but knowing the language only or just the knowledge of the language is not going to help you in terms of you getting a job. You might need to study data structures and algorithms as well. And then you might also want to have some sort of hands-on projects inside that language in order to increase your chances of getting shortlisted. Okay, I see we have a few more questions. Let's go ahead and see. Can we get internship by winning a hackathon? Absolutely. We can actually get an internship by winning a hackathon. And this question is very personal to me as well because it did happen to me in my real life. So back when I was in college back in 2019, I did participate in a hackathon, and we actually did win this hackathon, and it landed me a job, or I can say it landed me an internship. And very surprisingly, that it was this very first internship where I got my expertise in JavaScript, which is what I'm talking about today. So winning a hackathon can absolutely help you get an internship, as long as the companies that are providing this hackathon are sponsoring this hackathon are also kind of interested in providing you an internship. So there is, I guess, one more question. Um, Hi Shantanu sir, can you please tell us about how to get internship in third year? So like I just mentioned, a hackathon can be a good way of getting internship into third year. But on the other hand, as long as you have good projects and as long as you have the right amount of knowledge about the technologies you want to work for, you can start lurking out for startups who are ready to hire a lot of interns. And apart from that, you can also start to actually understand what are the companies that are going to come to your college to provide internships. In case if your college does provide that opportunity, try to make sure that you do leverage it. Make sure that no matter what technology you're studying, a lot of companies will do ask you for data structures and algorithms, which is again something you can do in JavaScript. And then as long as you're good at that and the skills that you have learned, you should be able to land an internship. So yep, that's pretty much it that I wanted to do, that I wanted to cover about. And in case if there are a few questions that I might not have been able to answer, please feel free to drop them down in the comment section below, and I will take them as the first chance that I get. All right, thank you very much for joining this live session.